Nicholas, to you, just on the GNU and sort of GNU parliament or government, two, I think, risk points to highlight. With so many parties involved, issues around power sharing, contestation, trying to differentiate oneself from your partners, does that open up a significant risk for, ideological disagreements to break it apart? And then second, risk-related question on the parties who will try and drive wedges between the parties within the GNU. So especially MK, the EFF, will look for wedge issues, I think, to drive. More radical parties, such as those, will try and disrupt, I think, centrist ideas, policies, solutions. What do you think of those?
Yeah, to call this government unwieldy, I think, is a bit of an understatement, particularly between the ANC and the DA. There's an enormous amount of difference between how those parties want to govern the country, and trying to find out a way to make that work, I think, is going to be very key to how well this thing succeeds. Obviously, the ANC wants to see its policies and worldview implemented, and the DA wants to do its. I think there's also going to be an enormous amount of politics between the various parties. As you said, from the outside, you've got MK and the EFF, particularly the EFF, I think, will be trying to peel the ANC away from this. They'll be highlighting things that they think the DA is doing that don't align with what the ANC wants to do. They'll be trying to basically, I think, scare the ANC away from being in alliance with the DA so that they can go into alliance with the ANC. And obviously the ANC is, I think, sort of pulled in two directions here. There's definitely some in the ANC who prefer the DA, and that seems to be who's on top at the moment. But then there's those who prefer the EFF, and they're going to continuously be a clamoring voice for splitting this deal and making one with the EFF instead. There's also going to, I think, be a lot of politics between the smaller parties, as you say. A lot of them are competing for votes with each other. So you may see, for example, the ANC trying to play off some of the parties, the smaller parties against each other. You can very easily see Gayton McKenzie from the PA attacking the DA and vice versa for various things they might say in cabinet. And it's going to be a continuous process of kind of finding their way. This is new ground for everyone involved. And so, for example, I think almost on every single vote in Parliament, there's going to at least be some discussion behind closed doors by the various parties about whether this really is something they can live with. Also, it's going to be interesting to see how the dispute mechanism works within government. The statement of intent included that all the coalition parties signed suggested that there would be some sort of method of resolving problems. But so far, it's not clear how well that statement of intent is holding up. So that's going to be another key indicator of whether this government actually is able to accommodate all of these points of view in it. It's very possible that the party could either become the ANC sort of being overturned by, outmaneuvered by the smaller parties, particularly the DA, and sort of kind of left by the wayside, or it could be the ANC sort of stamping their authority on everything and kind of pushing their way through, and we get a lot of status quo, or it could just be some sort of confusing gridlock. But we really are in uncharted waters, I think, in how this thing is going to work.